Top of the morning, Bay, with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग आपसे एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कार,
खुशामदीद,
अस्सलाम वालेकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనములు,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण,
जय जिनेंद्र।
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोल दे याली मदद।
मौलाली मदद बोलते हुए सारे फीजी अहमद लोग बोलेंगे नीसाम बोला बदजान। हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे। मैं से फालतू बाबा
And of course, myself, Faltu Rani, लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time that's going to make it totally exciting and totally mastani bandajani.
to the Bajan. So here you go. Without any further ado, we bring to you the traffic update of the Bay Area.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
Yeah, Bajan, wherever you are, if at all you're stuck in traffic and I'm not going to be able to share with you where you are, location, वहाँ पे आपको update नहीं मिल रहा तो हमें call करके बताइएगा for sure. 408-912-2479. देखा जाए तो actually traffic on the roads are kind of volume-wise has reduced quite a bit. I'm not sure why, because the weekend or because people actually are sheltering in place. You never know, or it could be the fact that the weather is such, it's pretty hot. It's going to be not so hot actually. It might seem sunny, but we are going to be somewhere in the mid-60s. No, we don't have like the hot weather which we had a couple of weeks ago, right? It's going to be like somewhere in the mid-60s. So it's going to seem kind of cloudy, not cloudy, sunny, but there's going to be nice wind chill and everything. The wind, talking about the wind, actually the high wind advisory, because we're getting the cold winds from the north actually, Banujan. So the 80 eastbound and westbound Bay Bridge actually has a high wind advisory in effect. Same with even the 92 bridge for the matter has got the high wind advisory. And if you look at far towards the east, Livermore side, maybe there's a high wind advisory over there because of the wind coming, as I told you, from the north for us, Banajam. Now, incidents-wise, not many things to report, except for a traffic hazard on 280 northbound entering at Stevens Creek Boulevard. There seems to be an obstruction there, but I don't see backup of traffic. That's good news right there. So everything is moving smooth all across the Bay Area, Banjan. It would be made, okay, so about San Francisco, always you have some residual delays there, and the traffic is sluggish pretty much in the Emeryville area for sure because of the, for whatever reason. I think it's just the fact that people are, it's very congested region over there, so probably over there, if you go there, you might want to make sure you accommodate for the time which you will spend on the roads, Banjam. Well, as of now, we still are in shelter in place, though we've gone to tier yellow. We still are effectively sheltered in to a certain level, Banjam. So it's 430 days of sheltering in right now. We still have a few more days. I would say, be patient. Take a deep breath and just relax. Don't worry about it. The weekend is coming up. Long weekend is coming up next week. Not this week, but next week for sure. So you can look forward to that thing. And then after a long weekend, everything opens up for business and we'll be back to the grind, I suppose. But there might be some other new normal, like in some things which will still be there because businesses are still expected to make sure they are safe and the employees are wearing masks. People going into businesses, they cannot be discriminated against. That's what they're saying. So they cannot mandate the customers to be wearing masks into the businesses, what they're saying. But we don't know what's going to happen in California law. We'll get more information about that for sure, Banajam. Lekin, abhi ke liye, it's time for us to go and take a look at what's happening with the news. Faltwani, do you have the news for us?
Absolutely. From the Radio Tihari studios right here in the Silicon Valley, Banajan. These are the morning news headlines from across the United States and also locally here in the Bay Area. The United States says that Rudy Giuliani is not above the law. U.S. prosecutors urged a federal judge to allow a review of evidence seized from Rudolph Giuliani's phones, saying that the former New York City mayor was not above the law and could not block the review because he had been Donald Trump's lawyer. The recommendations came in a Thursday night court filing 3 days after Giuliani opposed the government's request for a, quote, special master, unquote, to review records seized from 18 electronic devices, including cell phones, computers taken during April 28th raids on his home and office. Prosecutors have been examining Giuliani's dealings in Ukraine, including whether he violated laws by acting as an unregistered foreign agent while working for then President Donald Trump. A few plea bargains begin in the U.S. Capitol riot cases as prosecutors are standing firm. Nearly 4 months after the U.S. Capitol attack, just one of more than 440 people charged has pleaded guilty, a sign of tough conditions set by prosecutors for plea deals and resistance by defense lawyers to their demands. This reflects the high stakes of cases stemming from the worst violence at the Capitol in modern history, which left 5 people dead. U.S. officials have suggested in court hearings that defendants might be interested in pleading guilty, a move that can typically result in a shorter sentence. Prosecutors routinely seek to resolve cases through plea bargains, but legal experts said that it is relatively early in the process for either prosecutors or defense lawyers to be reaching quick deals. Apple's Tim Cook says threat profile of iPhone justifies the App Store rules. Apple Inc. chief executive Tim Cook on Friday told the court that the threat profile of the iPhone required tight control of the App Store, which Fortnite game maker Epic Games says is a monopoly that Apple abuses. Cook is expected to spend more than 2 hours making what is likely to be his most extensive public remarks on the App Store, which anchors Apple's $53.8 billion services business. Epic has waged a public relations and a legal claim campaign arguing that Apple acts anti-competitively by only allowing apps it approves on the world's 1 billion iPhones and by forcing developers to use Apple's in-app payment system, which charges commissions of up to 30% in sales. Cook, under questioning, said he had higher concerns about the phone than Mac computers. You have a phone in your pocket most of the time and you want instant service. We felt both the use cases and the threat profile would eventually be much greater because of the number of iPhones on the market. More on that you can read up on MediaMahima.com. Plane maker Boeing Company has drawn up preliminary plans for a fresh sprint in the 737 MAX output to as many as 42 jets in a month in fall of 2022, industry sources said, in a bid to extend its recovery from overlapping safety and COVID-19 crises. The plans would lift output beyond an early 2022 target of 31 a month, which the sources said Boeing aims to reach in March. But of course, implementation of this would depend on a cocktail of factors, including demand, the uncertain capacity of some suppliers, and Boeing's success in reducing a surplus of jets that are already built. There's some news that's coming out about how the United States rushed to defend Amazon's business practices in India after Reuters reported in February that the company had favored certain sellers on its website and bypassed local law that required foreign e-commerce companies to treat all vendors equally, documents obtained by the news agency show. Emails obtained through the U.S. Freedom of Information Act from the Office of United States Trade Representative showed that U.S. officials prepared a note for John Kerry, a top envoy of Joe Biden, about the Feb 17th Reuters report. The note, contained in an email dated Feb 18, said that India's antitrust watchdog had reviewed many such allegations against the U.S. e-commerce company and found nothing wrong. So Biden's envoy, former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, is in charge of also climate change policy, and he was scheduled to speak that day with India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. The US was concerned that Goyal would bring up the Reuters story, so it hastily drafted a note about the article. In case he did, the emails are showing at this particular point in time. So yahan pe bhi hota hai Bandhujan. For those of you who may not be familiar, there's a lot of hush-ups and cover-ups that happen. And in some really unusual news, the White House is partnering with, that app, the hookup app called Tinder.
Oh,
Yeah, is partnering with Tinder parent in hopes of users swipe right on vaccinations. That's right. Match Group Inc. said on Friday it had teamed up with the White House to promote COVID-19 vaccinations across its popular online dating apps such as Tinder, OkCupid, and Hinge. Promotional campaigns on the apps will launch in the coming weeks and will run until July 4th, Independence Day holiday. President Joe Biden has set a goal to vaccinate 70% of U.S. adults with at least one COVID-19 shots by that day. To meet the target as demanded for vaccines in the country, the White House has announced partnerships even with ride-hailing services such as Uber and Lyft earlier this month.
I'm telling you, man, people are listening to our shows. I talked about Tinder a couple of days ago.
Yes, you did.
And I said that, yes, it's going to open up and that's going to be something which you got to watch out for. Anyway, I keep telling you guys, you heard it here first.
Yes, that's right, Badajan. And in local Bay Area news, Badajan, Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday was in downtown San Jose, joined by other state leaders to sign a bill that paves the way for more affordable housing, a much needed item for the day now, Bandajan, creating more jobs and boosting California's economic recovery. Introduced by San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo, Newsom appeared with Senate President Pro Tem Tony G. Atkins, the author of Senate Bill 7, which changes zoning to allow for more dense housing and expedites the state's environmental review process. This bill is a path and an investment in the state of California. It is about our comeback, Newsom said. And of course, there is a group of people who've been protesting outside Facebook headquarters. Yes, a ceasefire that has been called between Israel and Hamas, bringing a pause to nearly 2 decades of a deadly conflict. The news came as dozens of protesters converged on Facebook's Menlo Park headquarters yesterday, accusing the social media website of censoring their pro-Palestinian posts. Palestinian flags blanketed Facebook's iconic like symbol during protest at rush hour. Also, in other local news, Panajan, strong winds wreaked havoc across the Bay Area late Wednesday and into Thursday morning, toppling trees and causing some damage and delays for drivers. Some communities in San Francisco and along the peninsula also saw steady winds of more than 25 miles per hour with gusts of up to 60 miles per hour in certain areas. Those were the news from across the United States and locally here as well. There is one disturbing news story that NBC has done. It's an investigative report where a loophole allows schools to be built near toxic sites. But you need to read up on that story. You need to go to MediaMahima.com.
And of course, Banjan, we'll come back to the world news right now, but उससे पहले quickly take a look at the Gane Kira lineup for you guys, Banjan. थोड़ा बहुत सुन के वापस आएंगे to get you the news around the world. कहते हैं प्यारे bum 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 ay. And of course, Banjan, the voice of Ashok Kumar and Manna De, if you didn't know about that, Banjan, music direction by Sachin Dev Burman, SD Burman, Papa of RD Burman, Banjan. A movie called Chalti Ki Naam Gaadi, which has a lot of meaning, the title itself.
बातों की एक बात यही है क्या भला तो क्या बुरा कामयाबी में जिंदगी है बोलो 100 बातों की एक बात यही है क्या भला तो क्या बुरा कामयाबी में जिंदगी है टूटी फूटी सही चल जाए ठीक है सच्ची झूठी सही चल जाए ठीक है टूटी फूटी सही चल जाए ठीक है सच्ची झूठी सही चल जाए ठीक है आड़ी तिरछी चला चला आके झूम आड़ी तिरछी चला चला आके झूम आड़ी चला चला के झूम तिरछी चला चला के झूम बाजू बाबू समझो इशारे हॉर्न पुकारे पम 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 यहाँ चलती को गाड़ी कहते हैं प्यारे पम pum, pum. And
of course, Banjan, yeah, what a wonderful saying to say that keep on walking, Banjan. If you face some kind of a trouble, you find out you're actually in hell, keep on walking. Probably will come out of it. That's the message out here, Banjan. That's what we've been doing, living our life. And that's what you got to do. Don't worry about what's good, what's bad. Just continue, Banjan. Do what you got to do, and you will automatically succeed. And again, success is a journey is what the song also telling you guys, Banjan. So this was a Gane and Kira picked for you guys. And quickly, let's take a look at the news desk and see if we have something for us from the world news. Faldwani, do you have anything to share with us about the world news?
Oh, yes, Altu Baba. One of the biggest news items that's breaking across the world is the fact that both Israel and Hamas claim victory as a fragile ceasefire takes hold. Israel and Hamas both claimed victory on Friday after forces ended 11 days of fighting, but a clash between Israeli and Palestinian protesters in Jerusalem underscored the fragility of the truce. Egypt, which mediated the pre-dawn end to the worst hostilities between Israelis and Palestinians in years, discussed measures to avoid resumption of the militant rocket attacks from Gaza, Israel, and Israeli strikes on the enclave.
You know what it reminds me of?
Uh-huh.
Zero-sum game.
What is that?
You know what a zero-sum game is?
No.
Where it actually is where both the parties actually win.
Oh, really?
It's a win-win situation. The scientific word for it is, or the phrase for it is zero-sum game, but actually nobody's a loser. Oh God. I don't know why they have to fight, first of all. Both of them claim stake to the same land.
Yeah.
Both of them are fighting against each other. And then
Yeah.
both of them actually coming and saying, we won.
Yeah, actually, this particular violence, right, was set off on May 10th by Israeli police raids, apparently, on the Al Aqsa Mosque compound and clashes with Palestinians during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Thousands gathered there again for this Friday's prayers, with many staying on to demonstrate in support of Gaza.
Well, but if you notice one thing, actually politics plays a big role.
Huh.
Netanyahu, right, his name is?
Yeah.
He actually had a tough time in his elections, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's not going to be coming back.
Really?
Isn't that what the news we shared last time?
That the idea was that the Israeli president actually invited the Netanyahu's opposing party to form government.
Yes, but the thing is, there had to be some disturbance or there, some kind of solidarity. And I think historically, Benjamin Netanyahu is very famous for actually creating this kind of distraction for international thing to make sure he can be in power.
Yeah.
And that's my ABCT for you guys.
That's right, Jan. Israel's, if you don't know what ABCT is, it's called the Altu Baba conspiracy theories.
Yeah, think about it. Think about it.
In fact, it kind of almost rings true, because if you think about it, it was the Israeli police who fired stun grenades towards demonstrators,
Yeah.
who threw rocks and petrol bombs at officers, and Palestinian medics said some 20 Palestinians were wounded. Who is coming to Palestine's defense and claiming, yay, victory for Palestine? Well, Iran is hailing the Palestinian victory and warns of deadly blows against Israel. Iran said on Friday that Palestinians had won a historic victory over Israel, which the Revolutionary Guards warned to expect deadly blows after the 11-day Gaza conflict showed the power of the Palestinian arsenal. Iran, which does not recognize Israel, supports and arms the Islamist militants of Hamas, who rule the Gaza Strip, while President Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority controls Palestinian populated areas of the occupied West Bank. Hamas and the Islamic Jihad group fired hundreds of rockets into Israel before the Friday's truce, killing a dozen civilians, although Israel said its, quote, Iron Dome, unquote, defense system had shot the majority of them down. In updates from Myanmar, Banujan, Myanmar's junta, appointed election commission will now dissolve Aung San Suu Kyi's political party for voter fraud in a November election, local media reported on Friday, citing a commissioner who threatened action against the traitors involved. News sites Myanmar Now and Irrawaddy said the announcement was made at a meeting on Friday with political parties that was boycotted by many, including Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy. The army actually seized power on February 1, as you all know, overthrowing and detaining the elected civilian leader, Suu Kyi, who led a non-violent struggle against dictatorship in the last 2 decades of the military's 1962 to 2011 regime. In updates from India, Banujan, Mumbai sees 1,469 COVID-19 cases, tally doubling time crossing 300 days. In other news, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is going to be embarking on a 5-day visit to the United States next week in an outreach aimed primarily at facilitating procurement of COVID-19 vaccines and smoothing supply chain wrinkles that has significantly slowed the vaccination drive in India. And 40,000 kids below 9 years of age test COVID positive in 2 months in Karnataka. And Karnataka has extended their, Band, right? The shutdown
Sheltering in place,
till June 7th. And there's also a cascade of rare complications, including the black fungus, that are deepening India's COVID-19 misery. If you want to get more information on all of this, Manajan, you can go to mediamahima.com. And if you traveled on Air India ever, it's very, very important. Please go look up the information that I'm going to share right now. Air India's servers have been hacked and passengers' data has been leaked. Please go look up this news item so that you can get more information about whether you are at risk. So again, Air India's servers have been hacked.
So what's going to happen? You're going to have unplanned vacations?
What? That's all we have time for this morning's Good Morning Bay. We'll be back tonight live at 5 on the Pap Pap Show. Till then, have yourselves a fantastic Friday.
Watch out, you might actually have a ticket waiting for you going back to India.
Whatever.
Go check it out for sure.
हिल मिल के चलना यूं ही साथी, ओए बंधी मुट्ठी लाख की और खुली तो प्यारे खाक की। हिल मिल के चलना यूं ही साथी, और बंधी मुट्ठी लाख की और खुली तो प्यारे खाक की। मुश्किल जो आ पड़े ठोकर से टाल दे, पर्वत भी हो खड़े हिल मिल के टाल दे। मुश्किल जो आ पड़े ठोकर से टाल दे, पर्वत भी हो खड़े हिल मिल के टाल दे। जो समझाए उसी की मची धूम, जो समझाए उसी की मची धूम। जो समझा उसी की मची धूम, जो समझा उसी की मची धूम। बाजू ए बाबू समझो इशारे और पुकारे, पम 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 यहाँ चलती को गाड़ी कहते हैं प्यारे, पम pum pum babu.
Hi, this is Jamie Lever, and you're listening to Radio Dehoti, where entertainment just keeps getting hotter.